Hey, what's going on, fellas? How we doing, man? Antonelli here. Today we are looking at Stanton's swing. We're doing so because I get tons of comments from players, and I know Stanton kind of changed up his stance, and he's slowly moved more and more closed with his feet, um, over the season. And he started doing this a while ago, but I get so many comments from players asking about it or telling me, oh, I'm going to hit like Mike Stanton now because, he's hit 57 home runs or however many home runs he's hit. And the secret is to have a closed stance. That's what a lot of players are telling me. And so we're going to look at it, but also talk a little bit about, some of the stylistic things that a lot of hitters do. And then also some experience that I have as far as changing my stance and thinking that, doing things with my stance may yield better results. So the first thing when it comes to stances and stylistic things, first if you look at across the league, and if you do so over a long period of time, stances are different, right? There's Everyone has their own stance. Some guys are going to be really closed. Some guys will be open. Some guys will be squatted down. Some guys will be standing up tall. Some guys will be wide. Some guys will be narrow. Hands high, hands low, hands back, hands not back. So, there's no one way to do it. And if you look over the years, like if you look back in like the 70s and 80s, there were a lot of players that hit really close like this. If you look more modern time, stances have become a little bit more open. And I'm not saying one's better than the other. If you talk to a player back in the 70s and 80s, I had a lot of coaches that coached back then. They're going to tell you that you got to hit with a closed stance. You got to hit with a closed stance because that's what a lot of players did back then. You talk to a lot of people now, and a lot of people say, no, you got to hit with an open stance, or at least you got to be even. You don't want to be closed because that's, a lot of players hit with a little bit more of an open stance now. And I'm not going to say that one way is better than the other. I think the thing that keep in mind is that there's a lot of different ways stylistically to do things. Now, when it comes to the actual principles of swinging the bat, when you break down the major league swings, guys do things very similarly. Okay, but when it comes to just standing in the box, how you're going to stand, you can do that a bunch of different ways. So a lot of players, I think, sometimes that are watching major league hitters say, "Oh, look at Stan, he closed his feet up. That's the secret to hitting for power. I'm going to do that." Right? But if you take another player, there's plenty of players that may have opened their stance a little bit, may have lowered their hands, may have put their hands higher, and guys are changing things all the time. And sometimes players think, I've been there where I've been struggling as a player, and I say, okay, I'm going to try to widen my stance a little bit. Okay, I'm going to try to put my feet a little bit closer together. I'm going to put my hands a little bit lower. All of a sudden, you get some hits. You go, there, that's it. That's the secret. I have my hands lower, and I hit, right? But then a week or two goes by, and you're like, oh, I'm not hitting again. What's going on? And so, again, try to focus a little bit more on the principles and not so much on the stylistic things that you're doing. And the principles are the things that we talk about all the time. If you go back and look through our hitting videos, the things that we're talking about as far as, once you start to move, how is the body moving and what is the sequence of the movements and those type of things that are going to create bat speed and bat path and all that. So again, we'll kind of look, and if you follow Stanton over the year, he has slowly started to creep more and more with his feet closed off this way. And this video right here is from a couple of years ago. I just went back and found an older video, and then I found this is one of the more recent videos. You can see back, a couple of years ago, he was even a little bit open. And again, this year, he's been kind of straight on, and then he slowly starts to creep in. And the thing with changing stuff, so I think what he did is he probably started a little bit more closed for whatever reason. And again, I don't watch Stanton play every single day, and I'm obviously not around him, so I don't know what's in his head and why he's doing it. I've seen some videos that talk about, he wanted to feel like he was staying on the ball more. That's what a lot of people say, staying on the ball more. And we've talked about this in the past. If you go back and look at our posture video, you can stay on the ball. Staying on the ball doesn't mean just closing your feet off. Staying on the ball means having good posture over the plate, so check those videos out. But again, sometimes what happens is you make a small adjustment, and I've done this before. You make a small adjustment in it, and you start to feel pretty good, and you start to, get in the groove, and you're swinging the bat well, and then you go, oh, the secret is closing my stance. So the next week, you don't even realize that your stance is a little bit more closed. And then the next week, your stance is a little bit more closed. And then all of a sudden, you get to the point where it's really, really closed. So again, that's one of the adjustments it looks like he's obviously made here. When you watch his swing, though, and I kind of break it down, again, just from the front view, there's not a ton that has kind of changed about his swing. He used to start with the bat a little bit flatter, and he'd pick it up a little bit more. He used to, he always did this little bit of a toe tap. Maybe it was a little bit more exaggerated back then. He picked his foot up a little bit higher back then. His stride might be a little bit smaller now. But again, if you kind of look at the swing, like, it looks pretty similar from this point of view. The movements are just a little bit more controlled maybe now. He starts his bat a little bit more upright. So the real things that you notice, again, is just the lower half is, a little bit more closed, right? But like I said, you can watch any play, like you can put on film of Barry Bonds, and he's going to do things differently as far as setup and stance. I mean, he's going to stride slightly open, right? So I just caution players when they say this secret, I'm going to hit like Stanton. I'm going to really close off, because that's the secret to hitting a lot of home runs. You can take a player like Barry Bonds, and he's going to stride slightly open. You can take a player like Babe Ruth. He's going to put his feet right next to each other and take a really, really big stride. You can take a player like Albert Pujols. He's going to be really wide and have very minimal stride. So, be careful not to get into, again, the stylistic things and think, oh, well, if I stand like this in the box, I'm going to hit really, really well. I'm going to hit like Stanton. Or if I spread my feet out more, I'm going to hit like Albert Pujols. Look at the things more under the hood, not the exterior things, the paint job of the car. Oh, the car's blue, so it's better than a yellow car. Look under the hood. Look at the engine of the swing, and try to focus on more of those things that are happening. And that's, when you're trying to learn about swings, those are the type of things that you really want to take away as hitters. Because again, could closing off his stance help Stanton this year? I mean, clearly he's having an amazing year. So it's obviously helped him in some way. And we'll see what happens. I don't think clearly he can't keep his pace up for the rest of his career. He'd be maybe the greatest hitter of all time. Maybe he will. I don't know. But I think that this adjustment, closing off your stance, isn't going to be the adjustment that saves all hitters, right? And you have to be careful for two reasons. One, a lot of players think, okay, I close my stance off and I'm going to hit just like Mike Stanton or Giancarlo Stanton, whatever you want to call him. And they're not going to do anything else similar to him, right? They're going to have the stylistic, I'm going to try to stand like him, but nothing else happens like him. So you're clearly not going to get the same results. Secondly, you're also dealing with a man that's got some of the best raw power in the league. Probably him and Aaron Judge have, two of the most, they're just freakish humans. And so, again, like, he can even get away with some things. When you watch his swing, there's some things in his swing that, especially over the years, that could use some work. And obviously he's really locked in right now. And I'm not going to say that he has a poor swing, because the guy's going to hit 60 home runs this year. But you also have to understand that he hit a ton of home runs. He's hit a ton of home runs over his career, and he's got ridiculous raw power. And he's obviously extremely skilled. He's, the hottest hitter in the league right now. But again, don't get carried away with, oh, well, the secret lies in closing off your stance. That's the secret. And the last thing I'll say is, when dealing with stances and, direction, we talk to our players. We try to get our players, whether you're going to have a slightly closed stance or an open stance or an even stance, we try to stress to our players that when you stride, you need to try to move yourself back towards the pitcher so that your momentum is moving this way. Where players get in trouble is guys that start closed off, or no matter where they start, if they stride into the plate and they fall over the plate, it becomes really tough to then hit an inside pitch. It becomes tough to rotate. It's the same thing if a guy, really, really strides open and he comes out of posture, it becomes really hard to hit anything away. So, you can tinker with feet location and how, I'm going to be a little bit closed or a little bit open, but you still want to think about trying to take your body when you move. You want to try to move yourself back this way so you're balanced, athletic, and you can cover the whole plate. So don't be sure if you're going to start to close yourself off a little bit because you think you're going to be like Stanton. You cannot dive straight into the plate where your momentum is falling over the plate. I see a ton of players and a ton of young players do that because they think, oh, I got to stay closed, and they start really getting the momentum moving over the plate, and then they struggle to hit anything middle in, and then one thing your body will do, you start to dive in, and then all of a sudden you got to really rip hard to open up. And again, you'll come out of posture, come off the ball, your swing will become really shouldery and upper body-ish. And so, things to really pay attention to. So hopefully this makes sense. Again, I just wanted to discuss it a little bit because I get so many comments and questions, and everyone says this is the secret to hitting. And I want to make sure that people have are understanding, again, styles versus principles and making sure we're looking at the right things. And if there was only one way to stand, if standing closed stance was the way to do it, everyone would do it. But guys have had success standing all different ways, and so there's something more than just that. So let me know if you have any questions in the comment section below. Check out the description box below. We've got a deal going on with Plate Crate. You guys will get 50% off your first Plate Crate. If you click the link below, type in Antonelli into the coupon box, you'll get 50% off your first Plate Crate. Also, we have a bunch of links to books and training tools we use with all our players. Check those out. Check out our Instagram, Antonelli Baseball, our Twitter feed, Antonelli9. We're posting videos all the time for you guys. Check out our website, AntonelliBaseball.com, where we've got more information there on how to join our teams and also work with our staff. And that's all we got. Thank you so much, guys, for watching, and we'll talk to you later.